what made Halo successful at the beginning? What is the legacy of Halo, and what's the soul that we want to bring forward, and what's the craft of making Halo games, and how
Oh, we're live. Is my mic low? It seems a little low. Let me turn it up a bit. I'm going to turn it up. Hopefully, is that good? Guys, let me know if I'm dropping frames. What the heck? All right. I think this is good. Let me know. How's it going? Nuke, Baron, good to see you. Let me know if my audio levels are too low or too high. We're going to get into it. It's been a good week. Got some cooler weather down here. No hurricane, so that's good. I'll have to deal with that. Hey, good morning, Deborah. Good to see you. So let's get into it. Today we're talking about graphics are outdated, and I brought it right here. I got Halo. Let me kind of mute this a little bit, turn it down so I can hear myself.
It's a research
think.
project for our studio.
Research project for our studio. So this was like Halo last week. We talked about it. You know, it's all about graphics. Look at this. Oh my God. Look at the trees and the shininess of this giant, I forget what those things are. The beacons, or they're part of the Halo thing. But this whole Halo reveal, it's all about graphics. Graphics is great. Look at these graphics. Amazing. And, you know, that's for a long time, that was a big thing in video games. But today, I think it's becoming less and less of a thing. Because as you increase the polygons, as you increase the graphical power, there's just less. It's diminishing returns, essentially. It's just less impressive. It's less distinct. You're not like, there's never going to be like a leap from like the PS4 to the PS5 or the PS5 to the PS6. We're just going to be like, oh my God. You know, back in the day, 16-bit to 32-bit was like, oh my God, what an insane difference. 64-bit, whoa. Actually, it says 64 didn't look that good, but you know, 3D, 2D to 3D, all these major transitions, they've kind of happened, which is unfortunate in a way. There's like, will we ever see some sort of like graphical difference that just blows our mind? I just don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen anymore, sadly. So graphics is becoming less and less a way to distinguish yourself in video games. And, you know, you've seen like, again, Halo. This looks really nice, but, you know, is it really going to, you know, make the game better? Is it really going to enhance your enjoyment of it? That I don't know. And like, but there is cases. Let's take a look. I put together a little showcase of animations that I really like. But this is, or sorry, I should actually get into the point I'm making. I think animation, rather than graphics, is what's really going to distinguish games from now on. Whether, you know, the fidelity has become less and less of an issue. What's really going to make these games stand apart in terms of quality and enjoyment, you know, really make them pop compared to other games, is just the quality of the animation is what it's going to be about. You take a look at, this is Space Marine 2. A game that, you know, has really good graphics, and I think the graphics really helped it compared to Space Marine 1, but, you know, that's like a 10-year difference, so obviously there's going to be a leap. But the real cool part, like as you can see here, where you go in and execute this guy and throw him over, the animations are just awesome. The way, here he is catching the thing, just slamming it down, just a explosion of blood. I mean, and the thing is that they don't have to be realistic either. I mean, you look at this, and it just sort of leaps into his waiting arm, and then he just slams it down. It doesn't matter. As long as it looks cool and badass, who cares? There doesn't need to be some sort of, you know, total realism to video games. It just has to be enjoyable. That's the biggest thing. Again, the way they do this, and like when you look at this, let me just show it. The way like zooms in after he counters it, just really gives an impact to his shot, makes it seem special. Like boom, really, the way the screen shakes, all that stuff is super important. And of course, the sound design's amazing as well. This is high quality presentation. Okay, counter him. Zooms in as he's charging. It really draws your focus to where he's shooting. Just the way he points at it. He just grabs it, slams it, and then just bashes this thing's skull. And it's just a pool of blood. And this is exactly what Space Marine 2 should be. Just a giant dude in armor just annihilating stuff. Just blood splatters everywhere. It's awesome. Yeah, Space Marine 2 just did such a good job on its presentation, and it makes the game so much fun. Even though, like, I was worried first that doing these animations over and over would get boring, but they do such a good job of it. It just feels so satisfying to do. You don't get bored of it. Like boom, just executing that thing's head and blowing its head off. It's awesome. It's just fun. It's hard to get tired of it. Maybe if I played the game for 100 more hours, maybe I'd eventually get sick of it. But if you play it for 50 hours, 60 hours, I'm still not. Again, this was another great example of animation, because they have to like mark. I've talked about this before. They need to kind of like mark off or block off a new area for people to gather up. That way you're not just running through the entire map on your own while other people fight. So they have this little barrier put in place, and the way you remove the barrier, rather than just have like a door or something boring, which they do have doors, but you get this animation where a guy's just lifting up a giant boulder and just slamming it back down. It just makes you look like, hey, we're going to emphasize the fact that these guys are just total badasses. Are just incredibly strong. In super armor, just boom. Throw them across. Again, another execution. Grab the sword. Stab them with it. Knock them over. Just in the middle of the fray. Oh, I'm going to shoot you. It just makes things... And this... Again, let's transition. It's a pretty big transition, but again, shooting them in the head, just stuff all around, and the fact that they made this engine handle so many little guys so well, like you feel like you're in a fight right now, middle of like a war zone. There's so many things going on right now, and Halo. When you talk about Halo, stuff like the Flood. Coveting, like when you're fighting, like this is something that Halo, again, it's big transition, but I want to show a few different games I think do animation in different ways. This is what Halo needs to try to imitate in a way. Not completely, but if they're going to have the Flood, if they're going to have Covenant giant battles, Space Marine 2 does a really good job. Same thing with, I think, Helldivers does a very good job, too, of, like, you're in the middle of like, a giant war, fighting stuff. The Master Chief isn't, I think, on the same level as a Space Marine, but they need to make him badass like a Space Marine. This is just male power fantasy to the max right here. And this is why, as we can see, let's see, do I have it? Do I have it here? Here we go. This is why it sold 4.5 million units to date. It's dead, and it's not a franchise. Space Marine 1, I don't think did. I think it sold all right, but like I said, it's been 10 years. It doesn't exactly have a. I don't think it really had the following. Wasn't a giant franchise. I was a big Relic fan. I played Dawn of War. I didn't end up buying it. And I only played it until in preparation for Space Marine 1. Hey, good morning, Jack. So the fact that it just has taken off so much, and of course, it fell in, Relic went away or got bought out. I think THQ sold it, and like Sega ended up getting it or something like that. It just changed hands, and now Saber was handling it. I believe it's Saber that did this, and they're part of Focus Entertainment. It's hard to keep track of who owns who nowadays, especially with all the 2020 selling and acquisitions that went on, or sort of 2024 after all the 2020 stimmy money dried up. But again, awesome. It's done incredibly well, and they just did an insane job of making this look amazing. And then, boom! The head just explodes. The body doesn't instantly go down, just sort of like staggers and falls lifelessly. All that stuff is just those minute details that you don't necessarily notice, but you do notice. Like you don't specifically notice, oh, that's a really nice detail, but in the back of your mind, if it's not right, if it doesn't look that good, you just don't appreciate it as much. Well, let's transition over. This is a totally different game. This is Zenless Zone Zero. Again, this is a game that focuses on animation as well. Again, it sets like a stylized graphics. The jiggle physics are really important to this game because this is a game that has to sell characters every, 3 weeks or so. They come out with a new character, and part of their free-to-play strategy is getting you to spend money to acquire the characters through their gacha system, which is kind of like gambling. Obviously, because this is Bernice, she has really interesting jiggle physics. Again, they decided I don't know how many companies would go through the all the rigmarole of trying to animate her ass jiggling, but by God, they did it. These Chinese, they know how to get people to spend their money. So, like, when a company wants to do it, they can do it. They have the very important job of having jiggle physics. This is Ellen. Again, this is more like a character animations, but they go out of their way to make sure that each character has a very distinct style and animation. And these, especially with Zenless Zone Zero, they want to make it very stylized. They do very exaggerated animation. And it results into a really good-looking game that's very unique in its visual style. And some people criticize just how extreme the animations are, but I would rather it go towards extreme than being unnoticeable. She's like a fast attack character. She'll disappear behind people, move through, while the support characters tend to be slower, not quite as distinct. They do like a lot of flips and shit to show they're mobile and acrobatic. At the end of their attacks, they do like poses because it's again it's more of an Asian style game. If you just stop at any frame, like she's flipping upside down in a pose. So like just all of it has a really distinct style to it that is uniquely, I don't want to say Japanese, but it's uniquely sort of anime style. It's one of the reasons, and it's made millions upon millions of dollars already from its gacha system. So it's super popular. Now, this is a game you can see has a certain flavor to it. And it's distinct. We can move on here. And, of course, the characters are very different. Like, Bernice will shoot and then, like, again, go out, do, like, a little pose. It involves twirling a lot. So it's, like, more of a fun light. Has, like, a light personality. While other characters have different style animations that are more befitting their personality. But the point here is that they make sure each character, every animation fits that character. It's nothing's kind of out of place with how they do it. She's light. She boos around and bobs after her animation. Well, let's move on. And this is, of course, I think one of the games that probably does the best when it comes to animations is Monster Hunter. This franchise is just top-notch with what it does. This is the Palico's cooking for you. All of it's super exaggerated and kind of comical. Which is just a nice backdrop for the more serious nature of, like, you're fighting monsters to survive. That's typical Capcom to kind of, like, use levity along with a sort of, like, serious gameplay. Sometimes overly serious. To the point where it does become comical. But really, the real showcase is in the monsters. They put so much. And this is something that I don't think really any game does as well. Hold up, let them cook. Exactly. It is to put this level of detail into its enemies. But since Monster Hunter is essentially, I don't want to call it a boss rush mode, but it's essentially about fighting these monsters multiple times. So if they're not good, this series just doesn't, like, if you need to fight this monster 50 times to, acquire a certain part of armor, if that's boring or it's, not interesting, then the franchise falls apart. But the fact that they can have you do that and still be enjoyable is really important. And this is all like in-engine. That the fact that these monsters act real enough that you kind of like think like, oh, this could be a creature in real life. A lizard or a bird could act like this, Anjanath is more of a T-Rex looking guy. I like the fact that it just immediately switches into an in-game fight. So Anjanath, I know you can kind of see when he does those big attacks, he'll put out his fins. It has like a nice little like kick. It's a little more. He has like small attacks, but they also got his way to give him big attacks too. And this is when he's getting tired. He has slobber coming out of his mouth. It's exhausted. Rather than show like some like status window or some sort of icon, they do it by showing the animations of the monster itself, which is, again, just another little detail that Monster Hunter does that just makes it so good. Is it doesn't tell you the health. This is one thing, like, people always like, oh, they should add a health bar. Add a health bar to it. That way you know how much health it has. Like, no, they show it by having the monster, like, stagger or... They show it through the animations, like the thing like moving or like limping when it's getting lower health. As it gets angry, it has, fins that pop up and inflate. As it's going through a big attack, it goes down, it shakes its head, throws it down, like you could see it like looking at you, like it's hungry. And the sound design's also really good too, the way it, like, you can hear it like salivating. As it hits you. The fact that I got hit by the same attack twice is pretty embarrassing. But I love the way, like, just zooming in on you, like, looking at you like the giant toothy grin. That just makes Monster Hunter so good. Like it wants to eat you. Terrifying. Charges at you and jumps. They make the animation look so real, even the fact that it is a dinosaur, essentially. You're fighting a dinosaur, but you still kind of feel like, yeah, this could be real. This could be a real creature. Meanwhile, I wanted to show off some bad animation. Let's take a look at Star Wars Outlaws.
Adina.
Again, this is K-Vess, small girl. There's just also something lifeless about this animation. It just swings and knocks him out. Like, what does this tell you about the character? Ooh, just punch him right in the face. Again, this is an animation, I've said it before, that like a 300-pound muscle guy would look. It looked, totally fine doing. And, I guess, some 100-something pound girl could also do that. This is just such a stupid takedown. Holy moly. This one's just the worst. Hey, I'm just going to grab your head and slam you to the ground and knock you out. like they don't do any. This doesn't do anything to tell you like who she is as a character, other than like have like a complete disconnect. Is she super strong? Like, is she just a mate? Like, if this was anime and like she was like super assassin, maybe that would fit. But I think Star Wars really isn't that kind of universe, you know, where you could just have, you know, small little girls that have super strength. But apparently she can just knock people out. And then this is from I should give him some credit. This is from Nick Tech. I've shown it off before. He also has his logo right in the top. But again, then they show off, you know, Splinter Cell as a
That's nothing.
as the idea that they can do this. They can make quality animation when they want to, or maybe they used to be able to do this in 2013. Here he takes him down, stabs him in the neck, and then just like a little like flourish at the end. A little bit unnecessary, but kind of shows you that he's maybe he enjoys that job a little bit, you know? Maybe he likes that. Likes to add a little bit extra when he's doing it, but again, it makes him look cool. It's quiet. It's distinct. He's not punching him in the face. He's just quickly stabbing him in the neck, takes him down quickly and quietly, and then like finishes him off. Make sure he's dead. Stabs him in the head. Moves. It's very subtle, you know. But that's what an assassin would do. Very. There's nothing. Supposed to be, you know, efficient and quiet. That fits an assassin. This, I don't know. Is this what she's supposed to be? I don't know. It just feels so bizarre. If they could give her a different way to take people down, it would have gone a long way in, I think, making her at least a more likable character. But they couldn't do it. And the other thing I want to show off, there's Concord. Yeah.
Why not?
Again, they did very subtle animations. Very subtle. Let me see if I could bring. I forgot to prep this, but let's play these. This is Concord.
Fine. Too bad.
I got you.
I'm scared. I got you.
Fight is won.
This is stuff that this is so Concord. Like, it's not like you could just ultimately say like it's bad. Besides, once we get to this person's giving it some extra. She seems excited. Of course, you can't see her face, so you're like, you don't know what she looks like under there.
All right.
That's not horrible, but like it's also not
Yes, indeed.
exaggerated. You know, it's not
The
super
expert's
exciting.
on it.
Let's see if I can ring this up.
Watch your back.
Right on target.
Oh, hi.
Oh, this is the worst one.
Come on, let's go!
She gives it a lot. I'll give her that. But man, it's like at least she does put stuff into it. It's a super cringe, but goddamn. At least you can tell like distinctly who she is.
Prudent choice. That's right.
It's just that stuff is so. There's no like flipping daggers, you know. You're not like twirling or anything like that. And then you look at like say here's Last Descendant. This is how they introduce their characters. Well, again, they have to sell these characters too, so they definitely have a reason, a lot more invested in selling these characters. But I guess Concord had a lot of investment too, so maybe I shouldn't say that.
Wanna feel a chill?
They got some stuff flying around. rendered stuff.
This operation, it's just wiping them all out.
Sort of little arm thing, and then like explosion, boom. The Koreans got a little bit more style.
Let me tell you how I managed to come back.
It looks subtle, but then like they finish off their pose with a lot of flourish. Let's just
This operation,
let's look at.
Ready to be shot?
This is Bunny. Bunny goes out of the way.
Are you ready to be shot?
Yay! She has a little like pose at the end. Super good. The other thing I want to show off. This is Endless Zone Zero. How they introduce their characters here. Let's see if I can bring this up.
つまり俺様だ。
火で手入れしない。
出撃可能よ。
This is again more anime
何か
style,
お困り
but
ですか？
私を呼んだのに。
they have to pose. Just a little like a little flourish. and
何
pose.
かよ。私は高くつくわよ。出
They actually had to nerf Nicole's pose. It was a
動。
little
何
bit
のご用ですの。
too much for the Japanese.
疲れたな。火力上げちゃおっか。
And then he closes. And like you could see, like Korin, you could tell immediately that she's kind of a shy character. So yeah, I got an idea what they do with Concord. I don't know. I just don't know. This is obviously I should give this guy credit. BQA. Thank you for showing off this character Lextrine. Since I will never ever, I can't buy Concord. I had no desire to buy it. But you just see how subtle.
Me and my crew.
Wow, he just lifted his thing on the shoulder. Like, it just doesn't tell you who he is. Everything's just too understated. Which I for video games, I don't know if it works well enough. You know, it's like, thing is, that's especially when you use real life people. Yeah. I mean, like, as dumb as she looks, this is the most replayed one. Is fucking is it? I mean, at least you could have an idea of what her personality is.
Come on, let's go.
I don't want to know who she is, but at least you could tell who she is. She gives a little extra, maybe a little too much, but it's like.
Prudent choice.
Maybe it's a little too understated, especially if you're trying to sell characters. But I think they just tried to make it a little bit too real with Concord. They needed a little more fantasy, a little bit. We needed real women. This is a real woman, you know, old Asian lady. I think, but I already showed off Last Ascendant. These are, these are characters. Let's see. This is Rhea. Some sort
Do
of,
as I say.
again, you see toxic mist coming out, so you mean, she's got something.
If you want to live,
You could kind of understand that.
Oh, my beloved daughter, Daya. Hold on a little longer. Your mom will save you no matter what.
This seems a little bit creepy. I don't know why she seemed to really like guns. It's just weird.
Wanna feel a chill?
And see me. Why? Because I extend their blinds out.
Dramatic pose, something. Very Korean anime. But let's that's just a showcase of certain animations that the First Ascendant is doing very well. I don't know if it's doing as well as it was before, but that's every game kind of has the peaks and valleys. We'll go into some other animation talk a little later with Unknown 9, which isn't doing well. But this is how a lot of things could separate themselves. Of course, Monster Hunter Wilds is that's coming out later next year. It's gonna be awesome. Well, let's move on. I didn't really want to talk about Asmongold, but I'll bring it up. This is just another example of just how left-leaning and lame Twitch and the sort of video game space is. So this is Asmund Gold, streamer, very well-known. This is what he said that's apparently super racist. See if you can find the racism in it.
If you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. It's not even a question. It's crazy that people don't see it that way. They'd be doing the same thing.
Takes a sip.
And how much do they kill? As many as they can. They're not able to kill as many people as Israel because they don't have as many bombs and as many weapons. But if they did, they'd be doing the same thing. That's it. Just takes enough. That's right. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways.
I think this is what people latched onto as racist when he said Palestine's an inferior culture to, American culture, which is obvious to anyone with a brain. Obviously, it's inferior. I mean, they marry like that. 25% of marriages involve first cousins, and of course, Sharia law, all that other stuff. Killing gay people, which, yeah, I guess that's bad. But that's it's pretty obvious. Palestine is an inferior culture to the U.S., but you can't say that or you're racist. Or you can't say, I don't care if Palestinians die. I mean, obviously, you didn't really say, hey, that's not my problem. I don't care what happens in Israel or Palestine. But if you say that immediately, I love when you see every single game's journalist outlet, IGN, Zach Holt. They can't use Asmund, I guess. That makes it sound more serious, so they use his real name. Has one of his channels temporarily banned after garnering backlash for a racist rant about Palestine. It's racist. Yep, PC Gamer suspended following racist tirade. That's a tirade. Again, saying Palestinian culture is inferior to ours. Racist. Kotaku banned after racist rant about Palestine. Again, he's racist. Saying something like that is clearly racist, apparently. But you could call for anything you want. Say anything you want about white people. That's fine. But Palestinian people that will literally execute you for homosexuality, that's too much. You've gone too far. Which, again, I almost hate to use that as a gotcha because I don't give a shit. But again, the Asmund had to he apologized, and of course now he had to walk away from the companies he started, Starforge and One OTK. Steps back from it. I don't know if he still has stock in that stuff, so who knows? He probably voluntarily do it. I know he was complaining. I just casually saw that he was had a panic attack. So maybe he's just doing too much with this stuff, and this is a good reason for him to just drop out. Oh, the statement from Starforge. Mutually agreed to part ways, unequivocally rejects all forms of discrimination, hatred, and violence. We stand by and ally ourselves with those around the world that seek and foster unity and dignity. I always hate when they talk like that, because it's not true. It's not true. They would 100% love to see Trump supporters or white people get beat down or have their homes destroyed in riots. They wouldn't say a word. They don't care. It's the whole unity and dignity and stuff is just for people on our side. You just need to add that to the end. Rejects all forms of discrimination, hatred, and violence for people on our side. And then we want to foster acceptance, unity, and dignity for people on our side. That's essentially what that means. But yeah, it's so this is what happens. He got banned for Twitch for 14 weeks, and of course people are pointing out Hassan can have literal terrorists on, and he's fine. But that's what it is. And people will complain like Elon Musk tweeting so much in support of Donald Trump, when like every other platform is super left leaning, and goes out of its way to push a liberal narrative. But hey, maybe this will be a good step for Asmund to step back and work on himself. Hopefully, he doesn't change his mind about Palestine, because he's 100% right. It's an inferior culture. If it goes away, the world isn't losing a whole lot. But overall, I mean, it sucks. Innocent people have to die. That's the bad thing. Which I don't think he actually cares. I mean, I don't think he like wants people to die. It's just that's just how you have to be sometimes. To not, like, especially when the news and social media and all this shit just constantly assaults you with these terrible stuff that's happening around the world. Like, you've got to care about that. You've got to support this effort. Sometimes you just say, nah, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Let them blow themselves up. They've been blowing themselves up for thousands of years. Ever since bombs were invented, they've been blowing themselves up. So it just doesn't affect me. I just don't care. These cultures are backwards. They have nothing to do with American culture. If something happens to them, so be it. Please just don't use my tax money on it. That's all I would ask, but that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But there was one thing that united everybody, seemingly, this week. And this was, here's Geoff, good old Geoff Kinley here. This is Project Ethos from 2K and 31st Union, described as a roguelike hero shooter.
Yeah. I got you. Oh yeah, here he comes. I got you, brother.
Let's do it. Let's push it.
Build your perfect run.
Coming in hot.
Or die trying.
I'm getting in this.
We're coming.
Try to spot how many games this is ripping off.
That's another team.
This looks like some like Fortnite. Project Ethos. Everybody essentially, even like left and right, both thought this looked like shit. Like even journalists, left-wing journalists, were like, "Nah, this looks so derivative and dumb." Where again, this just looks like Fortnite. Well, to be honest, I have no idea what Fortnite is. As far as like the graphics, the third person, and then it has like some hero elements. What is she using? Some sort of ultimate here? But I mean, look at the characters. What is about this thing that's unique? Is there a single unique thing you can see in this?
I got you. Oh yeah, here he comes.
I like the guy yelling though.
Let's do it. Let's push it.
Coming in hot. Whoa, he sounds really psyched. Die try. Oh, he's diving. This looks just like Fortnite.
We're coming.
That's another team.
Wow, generic guy with a machine gun. I don't know what that building was. That supposed to be impressive? That building that little shield thing, is that supposed to be like some really cool point of it that they had to show it off? This means nothing to me. It's very important. Look again, hated right off the bat. It got almost as much replies as likes. I guess does this get money? It's again looks like corporate led video game projects Like, hey, kids like Fortnite, right? They like roguelike hero. They like hero shooters too, right? Even these graphics look uninspired. Build your perfect run. Whoa. Or die trying. Actually, or die trying. Whoa. The evolution. Project Ethos. This is almost guaranteed to fail. It's like the second they reveal it, just the apathy people feel for this game instantly tells you something is dramatically wrong. It was just a bad idea from the start. Project Ethos. Sad. Again, sad to see the money just go down the drain on this bad stuff. Speaking of bad stuff, Tales of Kinzeria has to lay off their entire team. Puts the entire games division on hiatus. I guess the issue is they cannot get funding for their next project. So they said it sold really well, but apparently, as a Tales of Kinzeria was, this very African-based project Metroidvania. That seemed okay, but, nothing all that special. I think the whole idea of, again, I've said it before, like, I need to overcoming or, being at peace with the death of, your father is not a great premise for a video game. I mean, avenging your father seems like a really cool premise for a video game, but kind of like becoming, spiritually at peace with the death of your father, just doesn't have the same bounce to it. But apparently they laid off their entire studio. Not laid it off, or they said put the team on notice for redundant, which is essentially firing, isn't it? We've yet to secure funding for our next project, so even though it sold so well, according to them, they haven't been able to find funding for it. They've still got exciting updates coming in the pipeline for Zao. No one seems to care that much. It seemed like it was kind of a mediocre Metroidvania that was kind of, again, pushed by Xbox, pushed by the sort of games media, at least the Game Show Awards, because it's made by a guy from Hollywood, that has, some Hollywood credentials. So, whoa, a celebrity, whoa, that's really cool. The fact that games are still think like they're second fiddle, or like I guess I could kind of understand why they want to be part of Hollywood. They want that status, but it's better than they make more money. I think they're better overall than Hollywood, but still, it is sad to see video games kind of playing second fiddle to them still. This game showed by the creators. It might have been. I can't remember who all did it. Of course, it has, it's black. It's very African, black, black lead, black characters. Apparently, black people didn't buy it though, so that's always the way with this game. They make these games very focused on diversity, but then they never make it like appeal to men, too, which it potentially could have, but they don't. They always got to make it like it's spiritual, it's about kindness, or like unity or some crap. Like, people want to fight stuff. You don't understand that? Oh, whatever. But whatever. Zao, not doing well. Did do well. This is another thing that was kind of interesting. This is from the leaks. Legal Mindset posted this. But it kind of has like some of the remarks from like the overseas version, the Japanese version. Rosary he's holding has a strong religious meaning, so they got to remove that. Apparently exposing too much skin and winking are a problem. Look what they taken from you. She's kind of like, this is a beauty. Adult sister is the translation for this. So, they had to give her more of a skirt and remove the wink. Problem with holding a cigarette. Again, he's a fisherman. He's smoking a cigarette. Apparently America. I think some of this stuff is going to be ESRB. This one, they didn't change anything, but the winking is a problem. It's too suggested to have winking. Kind of weird. Of course, the prayer hands, strong just meaning of praying together. But this guy's supposed to be like a Buddhist person. Like, why is the prayer hands different? Again, just bizarre changes, but this kind of came from the leaks. Interesting to see their sort of internal discussion as they have to make it more appropriate. And I kind of wonder why they're doing it. And I want to do a little, I don't know if it's ESRB they're doing it for or NOA, but like who's behind making these changes? Like, is it just to get like an E or is it something else? I looked into it a little bit, but I haven't found like any concrete guidelines from the ESRB to really know whether that's it or not. Like they had to try to make sure they get an E, and somehow winking is what, sexually subjective? I don't know. But again, very, very interesting to see why they're doing it. This was another thing that we talked about Lara Croft. I just had to include this. It's amazing. This the voice actress versus the actual animation. Like amazing, just amazing. So the voice actress looks more like Lara Croft than current Lara Croft does. Just wild, wild times we live in. They couldn't make that part look like the voice actress. Come on. She's got giant by the way, realistic woman, Lara Croft here, compared to a real woman, the real woman voice actor. It's gone beyond realism into just ideology. Oh, we need to make it look more realistic. Oh, except for, the voice actress that has gigantic tits. Just, again, tragedy. What an absolute tragedy that they've done to Lara Croft. She's less sexy than the people voicing her. I already mentioned Space Marine 2. Awesome game. Looking great. Good to see a great game selling well. Hopefully we see more of that. Speaking of selling well, let's talk about a game that isn't selling well here. Let's get into Unknown 9. This was a game that was on the radar of all the Sweet Baby Inc. detected people. Apparently they were involved in writing. Someone that worked at Sweet Baby was involved in writing some of the game somehow. Of course, you can immediately tell it stars an Indian woman named Haruna, who's apparently a questor. So she has like some mysterious like psychic powers involving this thing called the Fold. It's supposed to be some sort of multimedia. It's a universe, Everything has to be a universe nowadays. So this was a part of the sort of Unknown 9 universe. This is the game that came out. And people are like, oh, it peaked at 198. Or 169, but immediately it got a bump. It got the weekend bump to 285. Which, who cares, honestly. 189 and 285. This is more, but it could be 10 times. It need to be like 100 times this for this game to be doing all right. This is just awful and slightly less awful. These sort of numbers, especially I think for the money that went into this game, is just a complete failure. It looks terrible. And of course, people, the usual crew, dunking on it for making the character look uglier than the actress involved, which definitely she does. She definitely looks worse. She wasn't made to appeal to men, that's for sure. And of course, this is from Legacy Killa HD, just kind of showing off. This is the universe. They had a podcast. Wow, podcast. A comic and novels all about Unknown 9. And the video game here stars Haruna. Peaks at 285. Yep. Doesn't, not doing well. And even IGN. Even IGN gave it a bad review. Again, like we look at animation, this is Haruna here. She like uses for fold powers. This is her taking the soul and then just boom, punching him. Some sort of like ninja-esque and chopping him. Wow. every female protagonist, they've got to do this. Like they couldn't focus just on her like psychic powers. You know how Echoes of Wisdom realized that, hey, if we do like our echo powers, if we give her like, if we have the hero have a sword and shield, like if we give Link these powers and he could just fight him straight up, chances are he'll just fight him straight up. That kind of takes away from the mechanic of the echoes. Again, they also have to like make her, here she is jumping in the air here. Let me zoom in. This isn't great quality, but he's just jumping in the air, boom, 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 and just fury of blows the guys down. Of course, you have to have a black woman. It has all like the normal hallmarks of this type of game. It's clearly not meant for your normal like white guy to enjoy. It's they always like talk about modern audience like way too much, but like who is the intended audience? I assume it's like a woman that kind of like wants a different tale. Maybe she enjoys adventure games. Like who is this targeting exactly? Who really wants to play this and then a game like this? And was the kind of mechanic that seemed somewhat interesting. She can possess people and then make them do some stuff, like it pauses time and like moves them. But then they also have, she could just straight up fight these people and like use like weird force powers and just beat the shit out of these guys. Just straight up fight. The combat looks so awkward. Ay. And she can dash. Look at this stuff. There's dashes. She's got like a shield. It seems like the big flaw in Unknown 9 is the fact that rather than focus on like the powers and trying to like make that, it's kind of like here's some unique gameplay involving her like powers, psychic powers. They also like, yeah, we also want to make it a combat game.
To boot.
Look at the eyes. Look terrible.
When there isn't a path to be found.
Big one. Whoa, they're badass. They're badass. Haruna.
Let you do typical.
And then just like typical stealth gameplay. From every review I've seen, it's like generic. One, they go like the stealth route, and then immediately like second half of the game force you into just direct combat. As the game sort of crescendos, they just get rid of the stealth shit and crazy puzzle solving here. They do away with stealth and just force you into these giant fights, which makes the sort of stealth tree that they set up for the game. You have different trees where you can focus on your powers. That becomes useless. And they have this like whole talk about the world building. Again, this seems another game that's really focused more on story than on gameplay, and fails because of it.
That promising foundation.
And like the bad guy's white. You probably could already have guessed that.
Problem if it weren't for the false choices it sets up in its skill trees. This simple three-pronged upgrade system makes you better at combat, stealth, or mind control abilities as you collect barely hidden Gnosis points, and does basic things like allow you to remain invisible for longer.
Wow, that's really cool.
Or make your melee attacks do more.
Remember when skill trees used to like affect how you played the game?
Damage.
I guess
After
not.
spending the vast majority of my skill points on the stealth abilities tree, only to see those encounters dry up, I began to wonder if I'd wasted my efforts and started hedging my bets by investing in other playstyles.
So yeah, this typical. This was a common complaint on the few I watched. It was pretty ridiculous. But so it looks like again, it's not like a great game. Pretty mediocre. Made for corporate and the people, I guess, in ESG.
Same
Maybe that's just the whole point of the game. Like, hey, we need a game. You know, back in 2020, like the sort of height of the sort of racist area, people are like, hey, we need to make a game that stars different people. It's sort of the height of the anti-white sentiment, where we just can't have games made for white men. We can't have games starring white men. We need people of color as the leads. That's somehow going to solve racism. And then they go ahead and make the most mediocre game starring non-white people,
full of enemy soldiers
they
who
end up
wield
failing.
guns and melee weapons.
Did that solve racism? Or make it worse?
And they mostly amount to the typical dodging, light attacks, and heavy attacks recipe you'll have seen in
Again, what they keep trying to put women in the roles as men, and I just don't think it adds anything to it. I think it just makes it worse.
To the typical dodging, light attacks, and
I mean, you're not. I don't know. It just who wants to play as a woman that just fights them like men. There's nothing unique about, like, why even make her a woman at that point? It'd be funner if she was just a man beating up other men. There's nothing sort of uniquely feminine about any of this. So, like, what do you get out of making her a woman, other than the fact that, like, you get to say she's a woman? Does any of that fighting seem uniquely feminine? There's nothing particularly graceful about it. It's just straight up, force. The same thing with like Kay Vest punching people in the face. There's nothing, subtle about it, or they have to like make up for the fact that they're weaker. They just straight up beat them up. So I feel like when you do that, you lose something about making your character a woman. But I guess that's just what they can't do that. That would be sexist or something like that. And the games just end up suffering for it. But the other thing I wanted to show, which I thought was kind of funny. This is unrelated to Unknown 9, but this is something I've seen in YouTube videos lately. That's a disturbing trend, I guess. Just listen to how this person talks. This Jerry Plays. He's got almost over 4,000 subscribers. Listen to how the words in this review, and see if you can pick up anything.
Even into the game's lore and world building, making you feel like you're uncovering pieces of a larger mystery. Exploration is similarly satisfying. The environments are beautifully crafted, blending realism with the supernatural. From bustling streets to eerie ancient locations, every area feels alive and packed with secrets waiting to be discovered. It's a treat for players who enjoy games that reward careful exploration. The game cleverly uses visual storytelling, allowing you to learn.
Uses visual story. This is like the most. I can't tell if an AI wrote this or someone at Bandai Namco, but I don't think this is a real voice. This sounds like an AI voice.
Around you without relying on lengthy dialogues or cutscenes.
It sounds like AI voice, and the most bizarre word choices. Is this ESL?
Unknown 9. Awakening shines when it comes to presentation.
It shines when it comes to presentation.
Visuals are nothing short of stunning, particularly in...
Who talks like that? The visuals are nothing short of stunning? No one talks like this.
How they merge the realistic world of Kolkata with the surreal elements of the Fold.
Yes, the realistic. They're just, everything about this seems so mechanical and bizarre. When I wanted a review, I'm like, this person is literally saying nothing.
Level of detail in the environments, from the gritty streets to the more mystical locations, helps immerse you in the game's atmosphere.
Yes,
the sound design complements the visual experience perfectly.
The sound design complements the visual experience perfectly. No one in the world writes or talks like this. This is the what's happening. The human is being erased from all creative mediums.
The ambient sounds from the
How does this person have some 4K subscribers? This is so bizarre. In this review, we dive into Unknown 9, an action-adventure game filled with mystery, supernatural powers, and deep storytelling. We break down the gameplay, puzzle. Again, this I think AI wrote this thing as well to see if it lives up to its promise. It is a must-play for adventure fans, or does it fall short? By the end of video, you'll know if Unknown 9 is a worth adding to your games list. What is the conclusion here?
Storytelling.
Oh my God! Look at the visuals there. Unknown 9, yeah.
Storytelling. If you enjoy puzzle solving, world building, and game.
Oh, fine. World building. I usually, yes. When I think of a game, I think, man, this game looks like shit, but does it have good world building?
Games that encourage exploration, this title will likely be a great fit. However,
that'll be a great fit.
If you're looking for a more action-packed experience, the slower pace and lighter combat might leave you wanting more. Overall, Unknown 9 Awakening is a solid entry into the action-adventure genre with its own unique twists. Approach it with a mindset focused on discovery and mystery, and you'll find a rewarding experience that's worth your time. But if fast-paced combat is what you're after, you might want to proceed with caution.
Wow, oops, I accidentally clicked on him. I have no idea. I guess he just puts in whatever the newest game is and just does it, just spams reviews. Again, I think this has to be AI. Jerry Plays seems, even the banner seems generic. Everything about this, I think this is made by robots or like Indians using robots. Kind of a weird era we're going in, where you can just put out generic slop. And of course I can't cuss too. Like this would be so much better if I wasn't like limited, if everyone wasn't limited by the fact that they can't use a lot of words or express certain ideas, because the robots wouldn't be able to do that, but whatever. This is just so bizarre. It's just a trend I've been seeing, especially like I've watched some Caitlin Clark videos, and like there is just, and I assume like it's all sports, but there is just channel after channel of these AI voice clickbait articles that make no sense, but like are like totally designed to get you to click. Just I guess maybe just like Facebook memes, AI generated Facebook memes, just to prey on the person randomly scrolling through their timeline, not really thinking about it, with no just low quality slop everywhere, infesting these creative mediums. Hopefully I can be better than that, but you never know. It's hard to compete when you can just be like Jerry Plays and just generate a new thing every let's see how many videos he generates. 17 hours, 32 hours, 3 days. You can just generate content like crazy for a completely. How many people does Jerry Plays have working for him if you can generate a review for a different game like every day? Is it worth playing for MMO fans? Star Troopers early, is it worth playing early access? Wow. Genshin, is it worth playing? Wow. Incredible. Who knows? This last thing is an outrage, a complete outrage. As a Sonic fan, this is just unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. So Sonic Generations had a new version come out that involves Shadow. Sonic and Shadow Generations. And they decided to remaster some of it. So they remastered it. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. Trying to read the chat. So they remastered it and they did some of the dialogue. They redid some of the dialogue. And here's what happens. Amy Rose, a young, cheerful girl, hedgehog. Amy can be a bit obsessed about chasing Sonic. She even claims to be his girlfriend. She's an energetic, go-getter who lets nothing get in her way. All right, that was the old version of Amy. Here's the new version. I mean, this is Amy. This is what she is as a character. So a cheerful girl who loves to help others. Sonic inspired her to be her very best. She's an energetic go-getter with the help of her Pico Hammer and fortune cards. Nothing gets in her way. So they're totally erasing the whole Amy loves Sonic angle. So this is the original. Here's him putting her hand on her face, like, get away from me, woman. I'm trying to do something right now. As he, like, I guess she's trying to hug him. Now, she's just, maybe this is even sadder. She's just holding up cupcakes in the background. Like, oh, Sonic, here are some cupcakes. And he's just ignoring her. Because they can't change all the animation that much. They just need to sort of censor it, I guess. This was too much. Her being kind of stalkerish, being obsessed with him. That was kind of gross. So they got to get rid of it. And this was they're also changing the dialogue here.
You
this is the
saved
original.
me, Sonic. I was afraid I'd never be able to flirt with you again.
Just going,
Thank me, Sonic. I'll be sure to return the favor next time around.
Not really worrying about that right now, Amy.
Sonic looks like a jerk. The thing is, like, they didn't change the animation either. They just added dialogue to this. Not really worrying about it, Amy. So, like, they have to change his exasperation. So he just exasperated that she's
worrying about that right now, Amy.
Next time
I don't get to flirt with you again. I could it kind of makes sense that he's kind of exasperated, like, oh gosh, this woman will never leave me alone. Now he just looks like a freaking jerk. Which says, oh, be sure to repay your kindness to me. It's like, gosh.
Really worrying about that.
I'm not worried about that, Amy.
Right now, Amy.
Why are you being so nice to me? It also looks like a jerk, too. Like, oh, here's some cupcakes. I'm just going to ignore you. But that, again, just overall part of the larger picture of, oh, no, we have a woman that likes a man. And of course, she kind of takes it to a extreme. But that's her character. She's like a hopeless romantic, obsessed with like a celebrity. Which, oh no, women. I can't believe women are obsessed with celebrities. It never happens. Or obsessed with a boy. That never happens. I guess that's creepy now. Having some sort of like irrational romantic feelings is creepy and strange. Which, I mean, if you like apply the sort of equalist, egalitarian mindset to it, where women and men, and there's no difference. Yeah, like if it's a man obsessing over a woman, it becomes a little bit creepier than a woman obsessing over a man. But we have to, all genders are equal now, so we can't have that distinction. So you end up with stuff like this, just again changing the character. I'm actually worried. I'm actually worried that that this is going to continue to happen, and Amy Rose's character is just going to be completely different at the end of it. I'll just ordinary. Maybe she'll just be a lesbian, by the end of the decade. That's probably the direction they'll go. But strangely enough, they didn't change it in Japan. I don't know if that's apparently in the Japanese version, they didn't change that. That was just changed for the American version because I guess they had a different writer for the remaster. Someone wanted to remake it. So there's a writer named Ian something or other that decided to rewrite the script, and he wanted to make it look the dialogue different. And some people are pretty upset about it, and some people aren't. Some people are like, oh, it's a Sega mandate, but he says the only reason it exists is because Sega JP wants it. Ian Flynn has stated on numerous Bumblecasts that he finds Amy's affection to be problematic and creepy. He tried to remove it in its entirety during Frontiers, but he was not allowed. He still basically did. Yeah, so I can't really agree on that front, especially in regards to Amy. For example, in March 2004 podcast, he brought up how he wants to change her design from a dress to something more toned down. He seemed to have a real problem with everything that's traditionally defined her. Like, again, just a typical, like, I guess it is left wing. To say it's left wing might be right. Say it's liberal, but this is what you typically see. Like, oh, she has a dress, got to get rid of that. We need to tone her down, tone her to the girliness down, the obsession with boys, everything that's kind of traditionally Amy. You've got a guy in here that wants to get rid of it because he finds it creepy or gross, which is bizarre. But that's it for the podcast, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, subscribe. I need to pass Jerry Plays AI channel eventually. We gotta fight against the robots, the robot AIs that are trying to take over YouTube. We do that one like at a time. Hope you enjoyed it. Here, let me get the redirect going. I believe it's on Jack's channel. We'll post 0. Let's get to post 0 here. Let's find it. Wife Jack. 2 Electric Boogaloo. So be sure to check that out. We'll see you later.